Ever scroll through social media and kind of feel like, who am I in all this?
Yeah.
Everyone else seems to have it figured out.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get lost in those expectations,
I totally get that.
So today we are diving into finding our true identity, but not the one the world throws at us.
Right.
We're talking about our identity in Christ. And to help us out, we've got Elise Fitzpatrick.
Oh, she's great.
She's got this amazing way of taking like these big theological ideas and making them like actually make sense.
She does, yeah. It's interesting because when you start talking about identity in Christ, it always seems to circle back to this whole born again thing. And that phrase, it's everywhere,
It is. It's almost become like cliche at this point.
Exactly. But Elise cuts right through that. She reminds us it's not just some Christian buzzword you toss around.
It's so much bigger, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's not about joining some club or checking a box.
It really isn't. It's like this deep down, life-altering, you're made new.
Yes. Exactly. And that can be hard to grasp sometimes.
It really can, because we often come at faith like, okay, what do I do to be a good Christian?
Lots of to-do list.
Yes. But Elise is all about God's grace. It's not our effort. It's his work in us. She's like, stop striving. You're already made new because of Christ.
There's so much freedom in that, isn't there? And one thing I love about how Elise explains it is that, being born again, it's not something we can just make happen.
Right.
Like I can't just willpower myself into being born again.
You can't think yourself into it.
Exactly.
Like we don't choose our physical birth,
Right.
and we don't choose our spiritual birth either. It's God's doing.
It's his choice, his gift.
Yes. He chooses us, flaws and all, and says, you are mine.
And that changes everything, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly it's not about what I do, my successes, my failures, my past, my anxieties about the future. It's about this incredible love that says, I claim you regardless. And in that claiming, I think that's where we discover who we truly are as children of God.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting because Elise doesn't shy away from the whole family dynamic of being a child of God.
Yeah, and it's not always easy, is it?
Not always picture perfect now.
Some of us, maybe we didn't have that sense of belonging, even in our own families.
Right.
Even in Christian families, it's not a given. And then others, maybe they come to faith later and think, where was God when I felt alone all those years?
Right. And Elise speaks to both. It doesn't matter your earthly family, she says. God's choice makes us his children. He pursues us.
I love how she uses that analogy to really paint the picture.
Oh, the king and the slave trader.
Yes. Gets me every time.
Yeah.
But it's not just some nice story. It shows us how far God goes to redeem us, to bring us into his family.
Okay, so picture this. A king wants to adopt, but he doesn't pick from some royal family or even his own people. He goes to his enemy, the one who sells people as slaves, and he chooses a child from there.
Powerful, right? It really highlights the cost, what God gave to make us his. He didn't choose us because we were worthy. He chose us when we were his enemies, when we were lost.
And incredible.
And that's the amazing thing about the gospel, isn't it?
It is.
We're not bought with gold or anything like that, but with the blood of Christ.
Because of a love that has no limits. It's amazing.
It really makes you think about how incredible that love is.
It does.
But, even with that, sometimes I feel like those yeah buts start to creep in.
Yeah buts. They're always lurking, aren't they?
Right. Like, yeah, but I messed up again. Or, yeah, but look at my past. Or even, yeah, but I just don't feel worthy of that kind of love.
I think we all have those moments, honestly. But that's what's so powerful about what Elise is saying. This new identity, being God's child, it's not a reward for good behavior.
It's not like we have to earn it.
No, it's not like we get it revoked if we don't live up to some standard. Elise blows that whole idea out of the water.
It's so easy to fall into that trap, though, right? Like, we have to keep proving ourselves.
Totally. But she's like, nope, it's a gift, plain and simple. A declaration from God based on his grace, not our effort.
Which takes the pressure off, doesn't it? When you really let that sink in.
Absolutely. Think about how much energy we waste trying to be good enough, trying to prove our worth. What if we could just set that down?
That would be life-changing. What if we actually believed we're loved and accepted, just as we are?
Like right now, in this moment, that's when things start to shift, wouldn't you say?
Completely.
Yeah.
It changes everything, right? How we see our relationships, our work, our fears, even our failures.
Oh, especially failures. We all have them. Part of being human.
We can't escape them. But Elise reminds us that when our identity is rooted in Christ, those failures, they don't define us.
They don't disqualify us from God's love or erase our value.
Like, We're not human beings trying to have a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. I love that quote.
Yes. Our true selves, our core, is found in Christ, not in what we achieve, but who we are in Him.
Knowing that, I feel like it gives you permission to take risks, to actually go for things.
Absolutely. Because even if you mess up, even if you fall flat on your face, your worth is secure.
It's not riding on your performance. You're free to try, to learn, to grow.
Without that fear holding you back.
Exactly. And it's not just about us either. This whole idea, our identity in Christ, it affects our relationships too.
It really does. When we're secure in ourselves, we're less threatened by others, less likely to judge or compare.
We can actually celebrate their successes, be happy for them.
And when they struggle, we can offer them grace.
Just like God does for us.
And it just creates this cycle of love and acceptance, all stemming from that deep well of knowing who we are.
It's a gift that keeps on giving, isn't it?
Totally. It affects not just us, but everyone around us.
Because ultimately, it's not about us feeling good. It's about letting that love and acceptance flow outward.
Living a transformed life.
Marked by grace, freedom, and love. For ourselves and for others.
That's what it's all about.
And at the core of it all is this idea of finding our identity in Christ. It's not just some abstract concept, right?
No, it's about living it out.
It changes how we approach every area of our lives because we're loved and accepted just as we are.
It's going from never enough to a place of already enough. Now that's powerful.
It really is. That's what Elise helps us see, and it's a game changer.
It lets us step into who God created us to be, our full potential.
It's funny, when you were saying never enough versus already enough, it made me think about all the times we hold ourselves back because we feel like we aren't enough.
Yeah, like we're always waiting for someone to tell us it's okay to go for it.
Exactly. But at least she's practically handing us that permission slip, like, you are enough right now, just as you are. Now go live like it.
It's not about getting all puffed up and self-important. It's about realizing God made each of us with unique gifts, and He wants us to use those gifts for Him.
And it's interesting. Sometimes I feel like as Christians, we try to squeeze ourselves into this mold of what we think we should be.
Instead of being who He actually made us.
And we end up hiding the very things that make us special.
Trading our true selves for some generic version of faith. And then we wonder why we feel empty.
Yes. Elise reminds us, God made us on purpose. He loves the messy parts, the quirks, the things we think are flaws, all of it.
It's true.
And when we finally embrace those things, that's when we come alive. When we stop trying to be someone we're not.
Because then it's not about us anymore. It's about surrendering to His plan for us, trusting Him even when it doesn't make sense.
And knowing that even our most unexpected qualities, He can use them for good.
It's kind of amazing, isn't it? We don't have to have it all figured out, be perfect, have all the answers.
Show up as ourselves, willing to be used by Him. So for someone listening right now, maybe wrestling with those insecurities, the yeah buts, feeling stuck, what would you say to them?
You are loved. You are chosen, not because of anything you've done, but because of who God is. Let that sink in. Let it be the core of who you are.
That constant reminder, you are enough. You are loved. You are mine.
Yes. And from that place of security, step out. Embrace who you are in Christ.
Embrace the things that make you, you.
And then watch what God does. He'll do amazing things, even with our ordinary, messy lives.
Because this whole journey, finding our identity in Christ, it's not just about seeing ourselves differently.
It's about letting that change every part of us. How we love, how we work, what we dream of, even our fears.
It's about living free with purpose, knowing we are loved completely without condition.
Just as we are. Powerful stuff.
It really is a truth worth celebrating. Thanks for diving deep with us today.